Ahead of 2027 election in Nigeria, the International Press Center, IPC, with the support of United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and the Spanish government, is launching the iverify project and unveil the iverify fact-checking platform. The iverify project is a groundbreaking initiative meant to strengthen the fight against rising information disorder as caused by proliferation of disinformation, misinformation, and hate speech in the electoral and democratic processes. It is technologically driven, and its features offer citizens the opportunity to submit requests for fact-checking. Joining us now on the morning show to discuss the importance of this project as it relates to journalists is Matthew Alao, Team Lead Governance, Peace and Security, UNDP Nigeria. He will be joined by Lanre Arogundade, Executive Director, International Press Center, IPC, Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Abati, and good morning, Ayo.
Thank you for joining us. Well, by way of introduction, I would like both of you, one after the other, to tell us about iverify, this fact-checking platform, and what is unique about it, because we've had quite a number of fact-checking platforms across Africa. So what is unique about iverify? Maybe we'll start with you, Mr. Alao, before we go to Lanre Arogundade.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abati. iverify Nigeria is a concept designed by EU Brussels office and facilitated by UNDP Nigeria, which principally intend to identify, verify, and also fact-check information and provide response to the public. So I know there are several platforms in Nigeria that are also used for fact-checking, not only in Africa, because most of the ones that are ongoing in Africa are also championed by EU Election Task Force in Brussels. But the one in Nigeria, yes, it's been facilitated by them. And the uniqueness of this is the fact that is situating it in the communication industry itself, which International Press Center represent. And this is also being launched nationally. And we provide access to all the citizens to send information or send requests to IPC to fact-check information or any information they consider that is either not factual or not correct. So that's the uniqueness of it. So IPC has the capacity, IPC have the reach, and they are ready to carry on this process with the support of UNDP and the government of Spain.
Okay, Lanre Arogundade, your turn. I mean, we're in the age of alternative truth. Disinformation, misinformation, malinformation. How is IPC going to help, check this?
Well, in terms of uniqueness, so you can look at the name. We talked about iverify. We want a situation, in journalism, often when we report, we talk about eyewitnesses. And in our trainings, we do warn journalists that, are you sure that those eyewitnesses are not ear witnesses? And that when we talk of eyewitness, what should be in the mind of the journalist is not EYE, but the letter I, eyewitness. So we're looking at a situation whereby a reporter brings, a news story, comes across an information, and is able to tell the news editor that I actually, verify. That's one unique thing about this. The second one is that because you did say that we have so many fact-checking platforms, but iverify primarily focuses on electoral disinformation, because we feel that that in itself is a big danger, to democracy. So our concentration, it's more about fact-checking information around, elections, around governance processes, and around democracy. And if you check the website, we'll see that some of the information that we fact-check deal with these areas. For example, during the campaigns in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi, we carefully followed what the candidates were saying, the claims they were making. One, for example, said that he was the youngest candidate to contest in that particular state. And we cross-checked and we said, that was not correct. You are not, the youngest. We have others. The whole idea really is that pre-elections, we should prevent politicians from getting away with unsubstantiated claims. That in fact, you don't now have to go to court to be able to establish that some things are not true if we are able to do, real-time, fact-checking. Now, as Mr. Alao said, the iverify fact-checking platform also gives rooms for citizens to submit a story, to submit links, to submit photographs, information that they are suspicious of, they are not sure of. They can actually help us because this is all about, technology. iverify itself works like a search engine. It works with social media platforms to flag, information or news that looks suspicious, and that our group of, fact checkers can actually, look at. So it's one aspect of what we're doing. The second aspect is also to build capacity, to join others, to build more capacity on fact-checking of electoral information. So before the off-cycle elections of November 11 in those 3 states, we trained 80 journalists on fact-checking of electoral information. As a matter of fact, we even said that what we want them to become is that they should become detectives of disinformation so that we can help sanitize the information landscape in our society.
All right, thank you so much. Let me come to Mr. Alao. Mr. Alao, I would like to ask you, in what other countries is iverify used? Because I know it's not just in Nigeria. In Sierra Leone, I believe it was launched just before the elections. And now in Nigeria, what other countries is it being used? And what has been the impact so far in those countries? And for Mr. Arogundade, talking about the training of the journalists ahead of the off-cycle elections on the 11th of November, what significant impact? I know you've talked about the fact that they were able to checkmate certain claims made by candidates, but what significant impact did it contribute to perhaps checking misinformation or disinformation in the last elections? And what are future plans beyond the training of the 80 journalists? What are future plans ahead of 2027 elections and other, of course, off-cycle elections in Nigeria? I'll start with you, Mr. Alao.
Yeah, thank you. We have other countries that we have rolled out iverify by the EC-UN Electoral Task Force in Brussels. And I will mention just 3 of them. We have Sierra Leone, we have Liberia, and we have Kenya. Of course, we also have Zambia. And like Mr. Arogundade said, the essence of this is actually to ensure that public have access to credible information to make an informed decision. And this has really helped well in Kenya, for example, which was used during their last election, and they attested to how this has helped people to make informed decision by putting the facts in the public space for the electoral for the public to make a decision on which candidate they should vote for. And in social media we have a lot of misinformation that are really going on, especially when you look at the 2023 general election in Nigeria, which also the same scenario play out in Sierra Leone and so on and so forth. However, the ability of this platform to fact check and also provide almost immediate response to counter such misinformation and disinformation that is spreading across the social media has helped people a lot. Unfortunately, we couldn't roll out this in 2023 general election, but we piloted this in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa State, and Mr. Arogundade will speak to that impact. But I can tell you that even those journalists that were gathered in the room, whose capacity were built, they attested to how this has really strengthened their knowledge, their skill of journalism. Because sometimes we assume that we know, and in actual fact, we don't know. And people just say, oh, what's it called? We talk about hate speech, we talk about misinformation. How do we contextualize it? I think that is what the capacity building training that we have for the journalists in the 3 states help them to do. And they are really committed to continue to carry this forward. Most of them will be present today in the launch of this project that we are having in the next 2 hours. They will be present, and the journalists there will also be able to interview them and know what they are doing about the information. But going forward, we are supporting IPC to carry this forward towards 2027, and we will do all possible best within the UNDP capacity to ensure that Nigerian citizens have access to credible information that will make our election credible and that will prosper Nigeria development, which is our mandate in Nigeria. Thank you.
Arogundade.
Mr. Arogundade.
Oh, he still has a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So for the journalists that we trained, if we're talking of impact, one thing that we can say here is that none of them, published information that they were not sure of, that they didn't, verify, because we got feedback and they said that given the lessons they learned from the training, they were not rushing to publish. They were trying to talk to, sources, because we explained to them that fact-checking is not just about using tools alone. It's also about getting to the right people, INEC, the political parties, and helping to provide, the correct information. If you check some of the things that we've published on the fact-checking platform, on iverify platform, it was also based on some of the feedback that we had from those journalists who were on the field. The other thing is also that some of the impact will be able to measure them as we go along. For example, some of them even gave commitments that they would introduce a fact-checking program in local languages on their radio stations, for example, because we really want to connect with the citizens, really. If you look at the way disinformation and misinformation spread, it's more at the level of, you might say, some form of, ignorance or beliefs and so on, so that people see something because of where it's coming from, they don't even hesitate. So when we have programs on radio, for example, in local languages that say, any information you are not sure of, you are free to ask us here, it also helps, the process. Now, looking at 2027, we're approaching fact-checking in 2 ways. The first is that we've had elections in 2023. Promises have been made. International Press Center did document the promises of President Tinubu, as we did for all the presidential candidates. But being the winner, we have the promises. The governorship, all the governors that have been elected also made promises. The idea then is that if we will promote electoral, if we are going to promote democratic accountability, those promises now have to be fact-checked. It could be on the basis of timelines. Maybe they said they will do this within 6 months, within 1 year. It could be on the basis of actual evidence, on the ground. It could be on the basis of appropriation. Is something promised? Why is that thing not included, in the budget? So we want to use fact-checking as a tool for promoting democratic accountability in Nigeria, so that politicians will know that promises are supposed to be fulfilled. And where there are challenges with fulfillment, they also need to come back and tell us. And we also need to fact-check those challenges to be sure that they are actually real. The second part of what we'll be doing is to expand the scope of the training. Even in those states, 80 journalists are just constitute a minority. But then, if we're looking at 2027, we need to go around all the states of the federation. So we're trying to set a target of training at least 1,000, journalists in all the 36 states and the FCT,
all right,
so that they will be in a position to help with the sanitization of information in the electoral processes.
All
Just to say that our focus is not only on politicians. We also believe that even the election management body, INEC itself, needs to be held accountable for its actions, for its promises. Ultimately, we hope that our own little efforts, combined with the existing ones by other fact-checking organizations, Africa Check, Dubawa, and the rest of them, ICIR, would ensure that we have robust conversations around combating disinformation in Nigeria.
All right, well, thank you so much, Mr. Arogundade and Mr. Alao, for speaking to us this morning on the iverify fact-checking platform. And great news to hear that you will be rolling out the training to beyond 80 journalists and, across Nigeria ahead of future elections, and of course, other bodies to checkmate fake news, misinformation, disinformation in Nigeria. Thank you.